Have you ever considered that we are living in a unique time, that something world-changing is about to happen, and that it might concern you? If so, you're in the right place. Keep listening, and you'll hear thought-provoking views behind the news that point to a new and better future for all. Many people now sense that humanity is not alone. So consider this. If the Christ or the Buddha walked among us today as modern men, would we recognize them? What would they be saying? And most importantly, would we listen? Every Sunday on this program, Share International Radio, we'll examine extraordinary events that are unfolding behind the headline news. This may be the message of hope you've been waiting for. And now, welcome to this week's show.
Welcome to Share International Radio, where we take thought-provoking views, take a look at the views behind the news. We share a perspective that brings a message of hope to a world that's in need of a lot of light and a lot of hope. We go from the implausible to the undeniable to a great possibility for humanity. My name is Cielito Pascual, and I am one of the hosts of Share International Radio. I'm really happy to let you know that my co-host Diana Gold Holland will be joining us next Sunday on this show on the 25th, same time, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And we are exploring a very different side of what's happening in the world, looking past the headline news, looking at a perspective from the ageless wisdom teachings. And I'm bringing back our guest from our inaugural show. We're on our inaugural show, part 2, again with Dick Larson. Hello, Dick Larson. How are you?
Hi, Cielito. I'm well. Thank you. Happy to be back with you.
Thank you for coming back. Dick Larson, you're a counselor with a background in education, business, and communication, and you have dedicated a good amount of time in the past several years talking and sharing a message of hope, sharing your strong conviction that we are now in a very special time of world change, one that offers tremendous opportunities for personal growth. And I really admire your commitment, your dedication, your eloquence, and your passion. And just want to share with you, we receive responses from around the world, and I want to welcome our listeners in New York, in San Francisco, in Madrid, in Auckland, in Rome, in Montreal. And I especially want to welcome those listeners who are listening for the first time and may perhaps not have a context or even a community with which to understand these ideas. And you might feel alone in exploring this perspective. And I invite you to join us every Sunday on Share International Radio, because consider this a community you can turn to listen to hear new ideas for your consideration only, for your investigation. And Dick, you presented some fantastic ideas, a fantastic perspective on the ageless wisdom teachings last week. And maybe we can kind of quickly recap on what we talked about.
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, first, I just want to let the listeners know, like Cielito said, we're going to present some new information to some of you, so fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a fun ride. And I want you to know that I'm going to ask a favor of all the listeners, and that is, please don't believe anything I say. And the reason I say that is because that would be blind belief. And I don't recommend blind belief to anybody. So if a little bit of 10, 20, 30% of what I have to say and Cielito has to say today makes any sense to you, I'll be thrilled with that. Secondly, I'd like you to know that the information that I'm going to be presenting comes primarily from the books written by Benjamin Creme. Benjamin Creme, C-R-E-M-E, lives in London. He's been traveling the world for 40 years now, giving out this information. And he has books available on Amazon. I'm not here to sell books, but you can look them over there. And that's where this information comes from. It's called the Ageless Wisdom. He is the most recent teacher of the Ageless Wisdom. And so the Ageless Wisdom, Cielito, as you said earlier, is a philosophy, not a religion. You said that on the last show. It's a philosophy, not a religion, but its basic truths have been around since humanity's been around. They're so old that they are said to underlie all of the world's major religions. So the ageless wisdom is a philosophy, a view of who we are, where we came from, and why we're here. Not a religion. And that's a big, big, important difference.
Yes, and not just underlying religions, but underlying all of life. This is really what undergirds all of life. It's the laws of life, and we can talk about that a little bit more. And you also talked about the emergence of the masters of wisdom coming into the world today, who are coming into the world with the master teacher of all the masters of wisdom, Maitreya, the world teacher, and you gave such a wonderful description of that process of emergence leading up to the day of declaration. So we want to let our listeners listen to that first show to get a little more detail on that. But we just wanted to remind our listeners where we started from, and also we talked about in the last show the establishment of right relationship. That is the revelation of the ageless wisdom teachings today. The necessity for us to establish right relationship and harmlessness in all aspects of life, between each other, between nations, and within the institutions that are a part of our life, but in our economics and within our politics and in education. That's a really important key. I loved how you talked about that last week.
Well, life has changed. We've entered a new era now where it's not about taking for ourselves and getting what we need to survive. The world has enough for everybody to survive now. So now the rules of living on the planet have changed. It's not me or you, it's me and you. Mm-hmm. So now it's about working together. Now it's about helping other people get theirs if you have yours. And so that includes on an individual level, on a community level, and on a nationwide, worldwide level, helping countries that need help and getting back what we need. Every country has excesses and every country has needs. Same thing with people. And so the world has become a world of cooperation now instead of competition. It's a very interesting change, and you're going to see people on both sides of that, kind of having it out. But the selfless side of life is going to disappear. That has no energy behind it anymore. And so it's going to be about cooperating.
The selfish side, I think you meant to say.
I'm sorry, the selfish side is dying. And the cooperation is what is going to help us bring in right relationship, just like Cielito said. That's the next step forward in the growth of humanity, right relationship.
So we're going to take a big jump here, a leap. So I hope our audience can be with us. We take a lot of leaps here.
Good.
And you're talking about cooperation. You're talking about right relationship. Last week we talked about how humanity is not alone. We talked about the masters of wisdom. We talked about the emergence of Maitreya. There is another group that is helping us in a tremendous way. And that group there are brethren from other planets, the space brothers, and also space sisters. But for ease of conversation, we'll refer to them as space brothers. And so we have a couple minutes before our break, but let's ease our audience into what we're talking about and why people from our brothers from another planet are ready to help us and are actually helping us now. Why should they be interested? If this is true, why should they be interested in helping us?
Right. Well, our information is that UFOs are real, that there are people from other planets visiting us, and they have been for thousands of years, but now they want to come forward slowly. They don't want to steal Maitreya and the Master's thunder because it's not their planet. But they all come from our solar system, and I think that'll be news to a lot of people, mostly from Mars and Venus, our two neighboring planets. All the planets are inhabited. They don't come from the Pleiades. They don't come from other constellations or other solar systems. Right. They don't. They come from our solar system. Our solar system is a unit, just like the human body is a unit. And they're here to help. They love us. They care about us. They are not evil. They do not want to take us over. They do not want to run the world. They do not want to hurt us. So they only appear to people who aren't afraid of them. Now, there are 4 major reasons they're here. They're here on a mission of mercy to help us, to rescue our planet because we aren't doing a good enough job of it. And they're here on a mission of mercy to help us save the planet in 4 ways that I know of. And we can talk about those after the break if you want to.
Oh, go ahead and you can give us the 4.
I have time. Okay,
yes,
good.
You do. Mm-hmm.
Well, the first one is they're working to mop up pollution. They can't mop it all up because it's not their mess. So karmically, they're limited as to how much they can mop up. But they have huge ships in the air, in the water, and in the land, and we'll tell you how they can be in the land when we talk about etheric physical matter after the break. But they're here to help keep the planet alive, mopping up pollution, mostly nuclear pollution, until we wake up and start doing it ourselves. So number 2 mission is the crop circles. We're going to talk about why they make crop circles, what the purpose is of those, because they are the ones making them in about 8 seconds. They think the crop circle they want to make, and then their craft responds to human thought, and it makes the crop circle. So, yeah, like I said, in about 8 seconds. That's the second reason they're here. The third reason they're here is 2,000 years ago, there was a great star, the Star of Bethlehem, that led the wise men across the land of Bethlehem, shine down on the baby Jesus so they could discover the teacher for 2,000 years ago that was sent. About every 2,000 years we get a teacher. Well, the space people have helped us. There's a star in the sky now. Wherever you are on the planet, you can see it. And it's there to announce the imminent arrival coming forward of the teacher for our time. So the star, we'll talk about the star and where all that came from and what it's about. And then the fourth part is they are part of the forces of light that are going to work to help humanity advance. They're working hand in hand with the masters at the request of the masters.
I hope everyone's got their seatbelts on. Join us after the break.
Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Matt Connerton here. Join Jen Coffey and I twice a week for Matt Connerton Unleashed, a political talk show that's a little different than what you're used to. No liberal or conservative agenda here, just an honest dialogue about truth and how things really work in the world of politics. Matt Connerton Unleashed, every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Welcome back, Share International Radio. We're in our inaugural program, Part 2. Again, with Dick Larson, our guest. And Dick Larson, I love how you are zooming with all this information. And it's just coming out. And I know there's a lot to absorb, and I just want our audience to know that with upcoming shows, we'll get into more depth with every aspect of this unfolding story. We have wonderful guests coming up, but for these shows, it's an overview. We'll kind of check out the buffet of ideas, and so definitely to know what we'll be talking about on every show, you'll want to visit shareontheairradio.org. Share, SHARE, ontheairradio.org. And also, Dick, the website where all of this information comes from. I mean, Share International Radio is inspired by Share International Magazine, and there is a website that gives a lot of information. It's the source of what we're talking about and has the highest quality information. Would you like to share that website?
Sure. It's Share, SHARE, which stands for international, shareintl.org. Don't put in .com. You'll get a whole different website. It's shareintl.org. And there you'll see photos of miracles that have happened, religious and non-religious miracles, all kinds of wonderful information there. It's kind of an old setup on the website, but don't worry. It's chock full of great information about Benjamin Cram, about the Masters, about the Ageless Wisdom, and even has some audio on it. So it's a nice website, just full of information, and I hope you check it out.
It's bursting, yeah. Audio,
yes.
Video, and there's even free downloadable books. Some books are for purchase, and there are free downloads there. So definitely check out the book section. So, Dick, what I want to do, maybe to help our audience, if they're hearing this for the first time, there's so much information about UFOs.
Right.
Most of it I do not pay attention to, honestly. But there is quality information out there. And in terms of what we're presenting, maybe we can dispel certain big myths and explain how the Space Brothers, how they move and how they're being in our world that might be different from what people expect. I think that will help us to understand a lot of what we're talking about.
I'm so glad you brought that up, Cielito, because there's a basic misunderstanding. Our science is very limited. Each planet has 7 rounds of life, and each round is millions of years. Planet Earth is in the middle of the 4th round. So we're just starting to get over the edge now into great scientific technologies and understandings. And one of the things we don't understand, we know about solid physical, liquid physical, and gaseous physical material. That's all we know. There's a level above gas, but it's like gas. You can't see it, you can't smell it, you can't touch it, but it's real and it's physical. We know that oxygen is physical even though you can't see it or touch it, because if you take it away, we die. So we know it's real. Well, this level above gases is also real, and it's called etheric, like the ether, a very high vibration gas. Etheric physical matter. This planet Earth, is just the right distance from the sun that we can have solid physical life, and we don't melt because it's too hot, and we don't freeze because it's too cold. All the other planets are either too hot or too cold to have solid physical life. So what they have is etheric physical. Now, all these people, the space people, have etheric vision. So they see each other just like you and I see each other. Most of us don't have etheric vision. I'll give you an example of etheric vision. People that see auras, that's the beginning of etheric vision. Well, these space people have been up there in the thousands for all these years, but we don't see them because they're in etheric physical. So here's how it works. Whenever they want us to see them, they lower the vibration of their craft and become solid physical, and we can see them. And then when they want to disappear, they either just fly off really fast, or they raise the vibration of their craft and poof, they become invisible again. That's why they can go into the earth and into the ocean as well as into the sky, because they're etheric physical, and they can go right through walls and stuff like that. It's a higher level of physical matter. Well, their bodies are made of the same etheric physical matter. So if they want us to see them, they can come out of their craft, make themselves temporarily solid physical, shake our hand, talk to us like they did with the Pope several years ago. They landed in his garden, and one tall, beautiful man came out, talked to the Pope. The Pope saw him, he immediately kneeled. Immediately, he knew this man was sacred. Turns out the man was from Venus. Venus is the most advanced of our planets right now. And so...
And that event was witnessed by several people.
Yes, it was.
In the Vatican.
Yes.
And
the Pope came back and said, isn't it interesting how we don't realize that we are everywhere? It was a great, great scene. Anyway, so that's why we don't see them all the time. But we can. Now...
Can I jump in here real quickly? Because the people who know UFOs, even superficially, have heard about Roswell. And that was a crash. So how do we reconcile, a UFO crashing and supposedly there were bodies?
Yeah.
How is that etheric?
Well, it wasn't. There was a Martian craft. My understanding, it was a Martian craft with three people on board, men and women. And they purposely lowered the vibration of their physical bodies and of their craft so that we could see them, and they purposely crashed. It was a sacrifice that they made so that we would know they're real. And so our government finds them, and what do? They cover it up. Well, they didn't want it covered up. They wanted everybody to know they're out there and that they're real. The autopsies that you see, there's a black and white autopsy of a Martian on YouTube. That's real. That's film footage that was taken. But now you can't find the bodies and you can't find the spacecraft anywhere because they have all returned to their natural state. They did this a long time ago. They returned back to etheric physical, and of course you can't find them. So that evidence isn't available. All we have is that video that was taken and the word of the people that were there, most of whom have passed away now. But that was an intentional crash to let us know that they're here. It was a great sacrifice made by the Martians to let us know they're here. So Roswell was real. It was real. So these people are coming here in etheric, physical, and then they can become openly visible to us. We land a camera on Mars. It looks around. It sees nothing because it doesn't have etheric vision. There's buildings and people all over Mars. There's more people on Mars, I understand, than there are on planet Earth. And Mars is a smaller planet. So guess what? The Martians are smaller. They're about 4'6", 5 feet tall.
Oh, I would feel good on that planet.
Cielito. Yeah, and so there's life on every planet in our solar system. That's what cosmos is. It's life. And so I get really excited when I talk about this because it's so cool. It makes so much sense. The solar system is a confederation of planets, and we actually have an interplanetary parliament of masters, these perfected people from each planet, who participate in this parliament. And one of the things this parliament did is what the human body does. When it gets hurt, it responds. The whole part of the physical body rushes in to help heal it. Well, the same thing happened with the Interplanetary Parliament of Masters. They saw that planet Earth was holding back the evolution of the entire solar system because we can't end war. We got people starving, even in this day when we've got a 12% per capita surplus of food, and we can't end war, and we're killing the planet with pollution. So they decided, since planet Earth, we aren't fixing it, we're holding back the evolution of the solar system, they decided to rush in and help. So they're mopping up pollution. Most of the pollution is nuclear. We don't realize how devastating nuclear pollution is and how it's leaking out in bushel baskets from all of our planet, our plants, our nuclear plants on the planet, because what's leaking out is etheric nuclear, the most dangerous of the nuclear pollution, but our instruments are too crude to measure it, so they don't know. It's spewing out of these plants. We need to shut them down right away. But the space people know it is. As a matter of fact, the pollution from nuclear plants is causing earlier and earlier Alzheimer's and a much higher incidence of autistic children being born. The autistic children has gone from like 1 in 800 to 1 in 80. I mean, it's just enormous, the change, mostly because of nuclear pollution. So that's what our space people are mopping up to keep the planet alive until we wake up.
Now, people, again, to dismiss a lot of myths out there, once we get the big picture of what they're the purpose of the Space Brothers truly is,
right.
It really diminishes a lot of the foolishness
yes.
that people subscribe to, very smart people too. And people spend a lot of time putting information up on websites based on fear and based on generating fear. And I feel very strongly about this. I suggest to our listeners that anything that triggers you into a fear state, question that information very closely, because typically there is some kind of commerce involved.
Yeah,
Somebody wants to relieve your fear. Once they instill that fear in you, they say, okay, we'll relieve your fear if you buy this whatever, this book, this product, one of the extraordinary myths is that the Space Brothers are here. They talk about the cattle mutilations.
Right.
Like, who knows what that is about? But once we understand that that our Space Brothers are so far advanced technologically, and there's a reason for that. It's not that they're better than us. It's because they have become more willing to be in right relationship with each other than we are.
Right.
And the moment that we begin to get our house in order, that we begin to express right relationship with each other through our economic systems, with economic justice, through our political systems, establishing social justice, we will see a flourishing of technological advances, because our Space Brothers will be then able to share with us what they know, and they'll be happy to. So there's a lot of work for us to do.
My information is that they are not slaughtering cattle. They are not digging into people and testing them. They're not taking people up on their shifts to test. You can't take a solid physical body on an etheric spaceship. You can't do it. So there's a lot of stuff. Some people want attention. Some people have a very vivid imagination and really believe this happened to them, and so on. So there's a lot of reasons there's this mess of information that isn't true out there.
And we will come back, and I hope, Dick, after the break, you'll talk a little bit more about how Space Brothers are interacting with our political leaders. Is that something you'd like to talk about?
Sure, I'd like to, yes.
Wonderful. We'll be right back after the break.
Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Hey ladies, do you want to have that good hair day feeling all the time? Gentlemen, would you want your special someone to have that glow, letting you know she is feeling completely satisfied? This feeling and that glow can be yours by embracing your sexual power. So join me, Rachel Kenley, award-winning romance author, on the O-Spot. The O-Spot will guide you to that peak with guest interviews, book discussions, and conversations on the thrills of sexual empowerment. Put the zing back in your life. Come up and see me sometime on the O-Spot, live on Hump Day at 10 p.m. Eastern.
The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
If you remember living fearlessly, joyfully, and in a world filled with adventure, happiness, pleasure, and unbridled living, then this show is for you. Join me, Dame Nicole Brandon, as I bring you the world's top experts in wealth, creativity, flow, seat-edging technology, space, wellness, health, love, lust, and passion, all merging together each week here at the Hub of Happiness. Mondays at 6 p.m. Pacific Time and 9 p.m. Eastern Time, on passionate living, where you can ride on the magic carpet ride of living and learn how to lead a passionately wild, exciting, and outrageously amazing life.
Bringing you the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio, your conscious lifestyle on steroids.
We are talking UFOs, space brothers, establishing right relationship, and who we are in this beautiful solar system, and the great changes we can bring about on this planet with Dick Larson. Share on the Air Radio. I'm Cielito Pascual. And if you have any questions, join us on Facebook. Share International Radio on Facebook and post your questions there. My friend David is standing by to text me because I'm not able to see my Facebook page, but he'll text me your questions. Or if you want to email us, you can send an email to info@shareontheairradio.org. And goodness, Dick, we're going to just have to keep having you back because we have 2 more segments, and I do want us to talk about transmission meditation.
Sure.
Because we'll talk about that in the final segment.
Sure.
When we talk about how people can make a difference, because everyone who is listening is being called to make a difference. You're being prompted to listen to this show, to hear these ideas. There's been a calling in you to make a difference in the world, and stay tuned to hear about transmission meditation after the break, and that may be a form of service that can really inspire and move you, as it has for many, many people in countries around the world. So back to our topic. Our space brothers are interacting with us. They're largely invisible. Oh, you mentioned the miracle star as well.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. Why don't we talk about that? Because that connects to the emergence of the Masters of Wisdom with Maitreya, the world teacher.
Wonderful. I'd love to. Yeah, I mentioned that 2,000 years ago there was a star that led the wise men to Jesus, the teacher for that time, for the age of Pisces, those 2,000 years. Now it's time for another teacher, the teacher for the age of Aquarius, who is the world teacher, coming himself, Maitreya, and his arrival is being announced by a star as well. Actually, there's 4 of them. There's one north, south, east, and west, so no matter where you are on the planet, you can see one of them, but it's not a star. Just like the one 2,000 years ago was not a star. At the request of our kingdom of heaven, our masters of wisdom, the spiritual hierarchy, the kingdom of souls, they have many names. At their request, our space brothers and sisters made a huge aircraft 2,000 years ago, spacecraft, that was 2.5 football fields big. And it glimmered like a star, looked just like a star, flickering that light. And that's what led the wise men to the baby Jesus. Well, now they have been asked to make 4 stars to cover the entire world, and they did. Each of several planets made a star spacecraft, but this one is 5 football fields big. These are huge, these 4. And they're up in the sky. I see one out my kitchen window, about 30 degrees up in the sky, looking northwest. I see it almost every night. And if you see one, it'll be one of the brightest flickering stars in the sky. If you look closely, you'll also see some colors. Well, stars don't do that. If you ask it to move, it might move because the people flying these craft are telepathic. Now, my wife and I saw it, and she said, "Is that Maitreya star?" And I said, "I don't know. Let's go outside." So we went outside in the street, and we looked at it, and I said, "If you're the star, would you please flash colors?" And then I took video, and I was able to individualize the cells in my computer, and it flashed all these beautiful reds and oranges and greens and blues and purples. Beautiful. And then finally I said, "If you're the star, would you please move?" And we waited, 30 seconds. You have to be patient. We waited 30 seconds or so, and then it moved down and across and back over. And I looked at my wife and I said, did that move or did I make that up? And she said, no, that moved. I said, okay.
Oh, my goodness.
That was Maitreya's star. And you can see it no matter where you are on the planet, announcing his imminent arrival, his coming forward to talk to humanity for the first time. One of the masters has done this in 2,000 years. So the stars are there to announce this wonderful arrival of the world teacher. And his teaching, his primary teaching, is going to be, besides right relationship, is going to be Buddha taught the wisdom of God. Jesus taught the love of God. Maitreya is going to teach the will of God and the purpose behind that will. He says we are ready now as human beings to start doing God's will. So he's going to teach us the will of God and the purpose behind that. And so it's an exciting time to be alive because he's not here to start a religion or anything like that. He says if you're in a religion and it's working for you, great, stick with it. If you're not, I come for you too. He comes for everybody, every age, whatever your background, he comes for all of us with love. He's not going to tell us what to do. He's going to make suggestions, and then we can either follow them or not. So that's the star. The other one was the crop circles. The crop circles, if I can do that really quickly.
Yes,
they're making these beautiful designs in the land, number one as a calling card, saying, you people can't make these, not by stomping around with boards on your feet. These are too beautiful. They're too intricate. They come from us. It's a beautiful, quiet, loving way of saying, we're here. And that's a calling card. The second thing they're doing with these crop circles is they're marking the magnetic grid of the planet with the crop circles. And this magnetic grid they are going to use in combination with energy from the sun to give us something called the technology of light, the science of light. And what the science of light will give us is pollution-free, endless, free of charge energy to run everything on the planet forever. Now, that'll be a combination of the sun and the magnetic grid of planet Earth will be used to give us, and that's going to come from the space brothers and sisters. The space people are going to give us the technology of light, but they can't do it yet. And the reason they can't give it to us yet is because we will find a way to make a weapon out of it. We have to end war first before we can be given the technology of light. So there will be a couple things that will come before that in terms of alternative energy sources like water. We're gonna take water and get energy out of water, which is plentiful around the planet before that happens. But the Space Brothers are here to help us in all kinds of ways. They're not going to land on the White House lawn and ask for the president. That's not their deal. They don't want to steal anybody's thunder. This is about the masters coming forward because Maitreya doesn't come alone. There are 13 other masters on the planet right now, and there will be over 40 before this age is over.
And something interesting to note is that on the other planets in our solar system, along with, you touched on this briefly, along with being abundant with life, all forms of life, including human life, every planet has a group of masters that guides that planet's human evolution. There's not a place in this universe where the humans are not.
That's right. And once we become perfect, we'll become masters.
We'll become masters.
That's your future. Isn't that great?
And then we move on to be of service to those coming behind us to help them. And actually, the principle of evolution is that, as greater numbers of people evolve, the evolution becomes faster. So as we're advancing, our advancement quickens. And I just appreciate what you say, that we have to end war. We have to end all war before we can advance technologically. And we're seeing that many, many people have written very seriously and documented very seriously on the phenomenon of UFOs and the Space Brothers, not just talking about are they from another planet. It's a given for a group of Earth people, some of them retired with, formerly high government clearance, former astronauts, former government officials who accept that the Space Brothers are interacting with us directly, are concerned with the future of this planet, and are here to help. There's no question about it. We don't have to wait for disclosure. I will bring to our audience's attention a guest that we will have in upcoming shows, Gerard Artson. He is from the Netherlands. He has published 4 books documenting, culling together documented evidence of UFOs, tying it with the ageless wisdom teachings of Benjamin Creme, and giving this very holistic picture of this very brilliant future ahead of us when we begin to interact and to listen to and respond to the Space Brothers' teachings and ideas. Again, we have free will. We can decide if we want to do this or not.
That's right.
But I think we love our planet and we want to save it.
If you guys are are UFO enthusiast, you are going to love listening to Gerard Artson. He is fantastic. What a great guest.
He's amazing the way he pulls the information together, and he just released a book. I was just given an advance copy, so we will be announcing that show on our Facebook page, on our website. That will be coming up within a month.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
And I just want to, can you touch on, I know you mentioned that the Space Brothers aren't going to land on the White House lawn. They're not here to steal anyone's thunder, but they have historically interacted with at least one or even 2 U.S. presidents. Do you want to talk about that briefly before the break?
I think you would be better at talking about that than me. So would you please enlighten us?
Absolutely.
I have an idea what you're talking about, but I think you know more about it than I do.
Benjamin Creme wrote the book, The Gathering of the Forces of Light, UFOs and Their Spiritual Mission. And in that book, there's a description of how the Space Brothers interacted with President John F. Kennedy during the Cuban Missile Crisis. Right. And very simply, if anyone recalls that time, it was a time of tremendous tension in the world. It's unimaginable today how much tension there was with the idea of a nuclear threat.
We thought it was the end of the world.
Yes. I remember my parents had a tin of that food, that dried food. You were supposed to huddle in your basement and eat. Yep. When the bombs started dropping. The Space Brothers interacted with John F. Kennedy several times. They told him what to tell the public, and he incorporated some of what they said in his speech. He didn't present it exactly as they would have liked, but they were a part of easing tensions in the world at the time.
Very much.
To a degree successful. Join us after the break. We're going to talk about how people can make a difference in the world.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
What if living didn't have to be so serious?
What if you could move beyond your problems with greater confidence and ease than you've ever imagined?
Throw your labels out the window and join the Irreverent Therapist for practical tips and a very different way of approaching the changes you would like to create.
Marilyn Bradford
and Pam Hodling
have empowered hundreds of people to come out of self-judgment, quit looking to experts, and begin to create the lives they desire.
Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Irreverent Therapist Show.
What if business could be fun? What if business is the adventure of living? What are you choosing? Where do you do business that makes it easier, more fun, or more joyful for you? We'd love to see where you do business. Connect with us on Instagram at Joy of Business or Twitter at Joy of Business. And share your pictures with hashtags BusinessDoneWhere and Joy of Business. Let's change the world with business. Join Elliot Jollish, the business therapist, each Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern for the Elliot Jollish Hour, as he interviews business experts on your behalf. And you're invited to email your business questions to questions@ecjgroup.com for answers, live, on air every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Elliot Jollish Hour. The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
Welcome back to the final segment for today of Share International Radio. And I'm here with Dick Larson. My name is Cielito Pascual. You will want to mark your calendar for next Sunday, 1 p.m. Pacific Time, 4 p.m. Eastern for Share International Radio. We will welcome my co-host, Diana Gold Holland. She is a longtime contributor to Share International magazine. She was one of the first people to bring chief editor, author, futurist, and artist Benjamin Creme, who is the source of all of this information that we're sharing. She was one of the first to bring him to North America, to bring him on a lecture tour in the Pacific Northwest. And so she has seen this story over a span of time, all through many different events in recent history. And her insights are extraordinary. So please tune in next Sunday. I'm excited to finally introduce her to all of us listening there in our podcast land. So please tune in then. Right now I'm with Dick Larson. And
I know her, and she's wonderful.
She is amazing. I really, there's not enough you can say about Diana.
That's right.
And Dick Larson, there's not enough time that we can devote to all the things you can share. There's one
of the space people that came and contacted us was somebody who contacted George Bush after 9/11. And, the space people look like us. They look like human beings. The Venusians are a little taller. The Martians are a little shorter.
Because they're human. They are human. They're not different from us. They just happen to live in a different neighborhood.
Exactly. Cute. I love it. And he thought this person was an advisor. He didn't know they were a space person, an ET. And what he said to President Bush after 9/11 was, don't respond. Don't do anything. If you'll recall, at that time, the U.S. had the sympathy of the world. Everybody felt sorry for us. They wanted to help us. And all that tremendous goodwill, by the way, goodwill is another name for right relationship. All of that tremendous goodwill that was flowing to the United States was smashed because we attacked. Mm-hmm. He didn't follow their advice. We went to war. And it just ruined the whole thing.
And that's what we're given, the gift of free will, and when people have a free choice, that is what happens, unfortunately.
Make mistakes. Yeah.
The
goal is to learn from the mistake. We're given free will so that we can learn. That's how we learn. We learn by our choices. We can learn from a good choice. We can learn from a poor choice. But the goal isn't to choose right every time. The goal is to learn from it.
Yes.
That's absolutely. When we blow it, is when we don't learn. That's why we have free will. You're absolutely right.
And we have so much to learn from people who've gone, humans, our fellow humans on other planets who have gone ahead of us. Why not learn from those who've gone ahead of us? Our space brothers, the masters of wisdom. They know all the potholes
they do.
in the road.
That's right.
It's worth listening and worth taking their advice. So we will continue to see how the messages of Maitreya, the world teacher, and of the masters are showing up in the news, how the principles of sharing are showing up in world endeavors.
We're so lucky to be alive now. I mean, it's just incredible. You listeners, fasten your seatbelt, like I said before, because life is going to change big time for the better. One of God's great laws is the law of equilibrium. And what that says is that however bad it's been, that's how good it's going to get. So you can't imagine how wonderful life on planet Earth is going to get. Within our lifetime, a lot of it's going to happen. Yeah, it's a great time to be here.
Grandchildren, great-grandchildren will wonder, how did we live in the world we're living in today?
Exactly.
Looking forward to that day. Can I add one more thing about Space Brothers? Because I read this in, again, Benjamin Creme's book, The Gathering of the Forces of Light, and I didn't remember this if I had read it before. But another reason that the Space Brothers are visiting our planet with such increasing frequency is that they're doing some serious maintenance. There is a huge star in our solar system exerting a magnetic pull on our planet, which is why we've seen an increase in earthquake activity in the past century. And the Space Brothers have surrounded our planet with a band of light to stabilize the planet against this magnetic pull. So I can't fathom what is involved in monitoring and being stewards of this energy. It must be a very serious endeavor, and it's certainly a demonstration of tremendous generosity that they are working to help keep our planet stable. That may sound out there, but if you put that up against cattle mutilations, it really diminishes a lot of myths.
We owe the space people a tremendous karmic debt.
Absolutely.
Our planet would not be alive were it not for them.
But I don't think they will shake their fingers and...
Oh, no. No, they don't come to scold us. They come to love us, just like the masters. The masters don't come to judge us. They come to love us and to guide us, just like a wise parent would do. That's what they're going to do. They're going to walk among us. There's going to be a master in working with food and around the world, and a master working with healthcare, and a master working with the arts and music, and there's going to be a master in every aspect of life. One of the big problems with the world right now is that we've let religion corner the market on spirituality. Every aspect of life is spiritual. They come to help us see that.
Absolutely. And I love this part of the show because we're going to share with the audience, again, it's going to be a quick overview, but this is probably the most important work one can do, considering that we have very busy lives. Some of us are working more than a full-time job, several jobs. Many of us have families, and we also want to grow spiritually. And we want to make a difference in the world. So the masters have introduced a way for us to make a difference, and that's transmission meditation. And we have 5 minutes to tell our audience about transmission meditation. Would you like to do that for us?
Sure, thanks. Okay. In 1974, Benjamin Crumb was asked if he would teach the world a new meditation. The masters wanted to try an experiment. The masters are always sending energy into the world all the time. Different energies of equilibrium, energies of love, energies of different energies, health, healing, and it bounces off us because it vibrates at such a high level that very little of it is absorbed by humanity, and they wanted to try this experiment. They wanted Benjamin Crumb to teach people, and now there are people in over 40 countries around the world doing this meditation. It's a group meditation. 3 people or more is a group. And what you do is you sit and you focus at the Ajna center, which is one of the 7 chakras in the human body. It's the chakra right between the eyebrows at the bridge of the nose. And you just focus there. You don't try to send the energy anywhere because the masters will run it through your chakras, through the chakras of the group, and then out into the world. That's how they step down their energy. They're using the group's chakras to step it down so that more of it will be absorbed by humanity. So it's a way to serve and work with the masters and to serve humanity. It actually is combined 2 yogas. It uses karma yoga and laya yoga, the yoga of service and the yoga of spiritual growth, the growth of the chakras. And so these 2 yogas are used. Benjamin Crumb says this is the most powerful meditation, one of the most powerful meditations in the world. And I'll tell you why. Because in normal meditation, you're basically downloading energy from your soul. In transmission meditation, you're receiving the energy from the masters, this tremendous energy. And they know how much each chakra, each person can handle without hurting them. And they send their energy, so it's a completely different energy, a much more powerful energy. And then that gets sent out into the world by the masters. They know where it's needed. As you just focus at the Ajna Center, they use you, and they'll send it out. Now, groups usually meditate for an hour. It's free of charge, done in somebody's home. Somebody who weekly or twice a week wants to host a little group can do that. There's a book on transmission meditation. It's one of the free downloads on the Share International website. the book on transmission meditation, how to do it, how to set up a group, why it works, and all this stuff. But basically, you can't have all of that energy going through your chakras without experiencing tremendous personal growth yourself, besides serving the world. So Benjamin Creme has said that 1 year of real, honest effort at doing transmission meditation, at least an hour, hour and a half each time, is equal to about 20 years of doing any other good scientific meditation in terms of your personal growth. So he calls it a hothouse of spiritual energy. And so you're serving yourself and you're serving the world. The biggest part is serving the world. It's the energy of transmission that causes things like the Berlin Wall to come down when nobody expected it, like apartheid to be ended in South Africa. It's changing the world in all kinds of wonderful ways because it's being absorbed by humanity. The masters told Benjamin Creme, it's working. It's working. It's helping us serve humanity. So the masters know where your group meets. You meet at the same time, same day, same place every week. They know where you are so they can find you. And then they start sending their energies. When you start, they start sending their energies through you. You say the great invocation before you start the meditation. It's a kind of a prayer, but it's an invocation instead of a prayer. It's found on the website. It's called the Great Invocation. It's given to humanity by the masters. And that is transmission meditation. There's people doing it in 40 countries all around the world. I don't know how many of the groups there are in the area I'm in, Los Angeles. There's got to be 15 or 20 groups here. And this just started, a few decades ago. So if you want to get in on the bottom floor, because Benjamin Creme said humanity is going to be doing transmission meditation for at least the next 2,000 years, probably beyond that. So this is going to become a very popular thing. You don't get together to have coffee and cookies and chit-chat. You get together to work. This is work. It's service work.
And we are coming to the end of our show.
I know.
I don't hear the music coming up yet, but it's going to come up soon. And I want to direct our listeners to another website. It's very simple. Transmissionmeditation.org. Transmissionmeditation.org. There's a fabulous video with Benjamin Creme talking in detail about why this meditation is incredibly powerful. You and we've been doing this meditation for quite some time.
20 years.
Me 20 plus. I'm dating myself. Oops. But, hey, transmission meditation, it keeps you young. If we can promote selfishness.
It's been great, Cielito. Thank you.
Thank you, Dick.